powerful time. It's great to be back in Australia. I just came back from Nashville, Tennessee, and we have a Citipointe church there now with 1,000 people that now call themselves part of Citipointe, and it's an absolute miracle. I was thinking when I was there that over the years I've actually given, in my preaching, I've given country and western a bit of a hard time. Like I've always been a rock fan, lead guitar. That's why Aaron got to marry my daughter, because he could play lead guitar. So I've been a bit of a rock fan, so I've always given country and western a bit of a hard time. So I think it's God's sense of humor that he would get me to have a church in the middle of Nashville, Tennessee, the heart of country and western music. And it's just a remarkable place, and I know God's got great plans for it. Then I was thinking what else I used to give a hard time to. Like what other music styles I actually preached about, like not so graciously. And I thought I used to always give opera a hard time. So I'm not sure we're going to have a church in Rome or Venice soon. I'm not sure. We'll see what goes on. But pray for Nashville. Pray for our church over there. The people are so hungry to be here, to be a part of who we are. So we're growing already this year. Listen to this. Already this year, around our Citipointe locations, we've seen close to 3,000 people make decisions for Jesus already this year. Yeah, it's quite an incredible time. And here we are in faith, love, and hope. And Shannon's about to have a baby. Shannon, I can't see you except for the bump. You disappeared behind the bump. And just awesome. So excited for you both, and look forward to it. And Ali Bell's going to have a... What's going on here? Ali's going to have a baby. It's all happening. And then I get to Nashville, and then two of the new staff members there, they're about to have babies as well. So it's all, we're growing the Catholic way, and but we are growing. So that's significant. Faith, love, and hope. I love this time of year. I love it because it stretches me. You know what? The truth is, you don't know you're in faith. The only reason you can tell you're in faith is because you get a little scared. I know when I'm in faith because you get a little scared, because faith means you've gone past your normal. It means you've stretched yourself. You've gone beyond your realm of comfortability. That's what faith does. Faith never leaves you inside the boat. It gets you to step out of the boat, because the miracles of life don't happen in our boat of fear or mediocrity. They happen outside of our boat of fear and mediocrity. So we go out, we step. And so I love this time of year. It stretches me and it stretches all of us. Tonight, I'm going to do a message, and there's so many scriptures in it that you're going to think you're at Bible college. All right? Now, as a matter of fact, I'm going to talk to Pastor Andrew Staggs about this, and I reckon because of tonight's message, you should all get credits in Bible college. All right? And I want to take us to a place of I've called the message... more than before, and I work on the principle of this: if you don't have it, you can't give it. If you don't have love, you can't give love. If you don't have hope, you can't give hope. You can only give what you have, all right? You can only give what you have. And I think that's important to understand that God has called us to have, not just to keep, but to give. I want to be blessed so I can be a blessing. I don't want to be the person that has to be given to as much as I can be the person that gives to others. And God's plan is that we have so we can give. And what you think about money is irrelevant, really, because you're stuck with it for the rest of your lives, whether you like it or not. As a matter of fact, there's more scriptures in the Bible on money than there is combined with prayer and faith put together. Because God understood it's the context of how we do life together, and we have to see it through his eyes. And I'm going to speak to you on the subject tonight of more than before. And not, even though I'm speaking about finances and blessing, and I don't want you to live in a place where you have to live in need, live in mess. I want you to live in a place that you can help somebody else's mess. You can help somebody else's need. And so we're going to go through this biblically so you can understand how God sees us and what he wants to do in us and then through us. You know, it amazes me when I hear of statistics about people that win the lotto. You know, now you can hear about the American lotto where somebody wins $37.5 million. Or they win the casket, or an old auntie dies in England and leaves them a castle. You know, like there's these people that get this incredible amounts of money. But the amazing statistic is that most of those people within a few years don't have any of that money left. They've not been able to handle it or hold it. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of instances where people's lives are worse off because of the money they got than even before they had the money. So I wonder in our Christian world, what happens when God blesses, when miracles happen, then later down the track, people have nothing to show for it. They're back to where they were. I've seen so many miracles of God. I've seen breakthroughs in marriages, in drug addiction, in all sorts of things, in finances, but people have not been able to hold on to the blessing. They had the opportunity, but they've not seen the rewards of holding on to that. It's almost like their life or their bucket has a hole in it. Dear Liza, there's a hole in my bucket. Who knows that? What the heck? How do you all know that? Like, there's a hole and it's like people have holes in their buckets. And that scares me a little way, and all sorts of reasons why, because then God can keep pouring in. It just doesn't hold, it tends to leak out. I watch Christians with faith. People that receive miracles a miracle should be enough to stop you ever from turning away from God. You would think that would be enough, but that's not the case. Unless you fill the hole in your life, it doesn't matter how much God pours in, it leaks out. And the truth is, it's never about how much God can pour in. He's got as much as we need. The issue is not how much He can pour in, it's how much can we contain. Can we hold it? Can we hold what God has for us? So I look at some major keys to containing God's blessing and increase, and hopefully plug some of the holes in our bucket, so when there's blessing poured in, we don't just lose it. A lot of you are young people. I'm almost 25 now, and a few years ago maybe, and I've been through a journey of what I would like somebody have said to me back in the day when I was young, and this is the message I wish somebody had told me, because what happens is you wake up one day and you're old. Like, what did you do with that person? Where did he go? There's a sense you wake up and your future becomes your past. And what happens on that journey, you end up in a certain spot. And if you can do the right things now, your life, listen, can I tell you, the more wisdom you use, the less miracles you need. The more wisdom you use, and there's nothing wrong with miracles, they're the things that take us out of a mess or a situation. But God's plan is that we just shouldn't drag on miracle after miracle. Wisdom is a key to moving. Wisdom is what you use to engage the unforeseen enemies of your future. So I'm going to teach you tonight a few things about how to have more than you have right now and use that wisely. Number one is this. I found in life, if you want to get what God has for you, you need to work hard. Unlike what some people think, working hard is a scriptural principle. Not bludging, not sitting around doing nothing, not meditating all day. Working hard is a biblical principle, and if you understand the biblical principle of working hard, you will see great success in your future. You've got to keep your foot down in life. We've got now 10 locations around the world. Over 12,000 people now attend Citipointe churches. It's not the end of it. It's the beginning of something. I'm not going to pull back because we've reached. Who knows if Brisbane isn't saved yet? We've seen 3,000 people, but that's not all of Brisbane. We've got a lot to do. And I'm not getting less, or I'm not going to do less as I get older. I believe in working hard. The idea of retirement is beyond my comprehension. What would I do in the morning? Imagine getting up in the morning and going, well, I wonder what I'm going to do today. We were never designed to live like that. There are times for recreation and having time off and relaxing. There's nothing wrong with that. But we're designed to work. And it's a biblical principle. Keep your foot down. If you want to see success, keep your foot down. I was fishing a couple of years ago up in Fraser Island, and my brother and I had different four-wheel drives, and a huge storm came up, and we had to race the storm back to the barge to get back to the mainland. And the waves had got so big that it washed out the beach in front of us many times. We were sitting here waiting, and these huge waves were coming in, and we had to time it just right. And then when the wave went out, we had to just put the foot down, zoom across this place and get up the other side. Anyway, we're watching the waves, and Brad has a head rush or a blood rush, and he goes at the wrong time. I'm sitting in the car behind him going, no! And he takes off, and this huge wave comes over the whole car. It disappears under a wave. And we see it go under. We're just sitting there watching this, and then it goes over him, hits the sandbank, comes back and goes over him again. And we think he's been washed out to New Zealand. And then as we look, we see this car go, and he made it all the way through and up the other side. And I said, how does that happen? And he said, well, what you've got to do is keep your foot down. All right? Because if you take your foot off the accelerator, the water goes up your exhaust pipe into your engine and you stall. But if you keep your foot down, you make it to the other side. And in life, it's very much like that. There's got to be a sense of that we're called to work hard. All right? It's a part. Look, there's no shortcut to greatness. People that do well work hard. Look at Proverbs chapter 13, verse 4. The soul of a lazy man desires and has nothing. But the soul of the diligent shall be made rich. People that are lazy want everything, but they're not prepared to work hard to get there. Wow. And then 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verses 10 through 13. For even when we were with you, we commanded you this. This is the Bible, all right? We commanded you this. If anyone will not work, neither shall he eat. Right? Simple as that. If you're not prepared to work, the Bible says you shouldn't even eat. For we hear that there are some that are among you who are disorderly in manner, not working at all, but are busybodies. Now those with such we command. Like not, oh, you should get a job. No, we command and exhort through the Lord Jesus Christ that they work in quietness and eat their own bread. But as for you, brethren, do not grow weary in doing good. Whatever you do, do it well. Work hard at whatever you've put your hands to. God blesses plain, old-fashioned hard work. I mean, get out of bed before the crack of noon. Get a job. It mightn't be your dream job, but get a job until your dream job turns up. Don't be a person that sits back and wait. Make sure you go forward. I remember I was talking to a businessman a few years back here, and he said that he needed a part-time employee. Did I know anybody in the church? And I went to one young guy, and I said, I think you're after a job. This guy's got a part-time job. Are you interested? And this is what he said to me. He said, no, I don't want that. I'm believing for a full-time job. I said, you're believing for a full-time job? Here's a part-time job. He said, no, I don't want it. I'm believing for a full-time job. See, the lazy man desires. He desires. So I went to another guy who was so excited to have a part-time job. So he got the job. And you know what happened? Within 2 weeks in that organization, another guy left. And guess who had a full-time job in 2 weeks? The lazy man desires, but the diligent are made rich. Hard work always commands a blessing from God. First Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 11 and 12. That you also aspire to lead a quiet life, to mind your own business, and to work with your own hands as we commanded you, that you may walk properly toward those who are outside, that you may lack nothing. There is a blessing over God, from God, to those that are prepared to work hard. The lazy man desires, I want that. The soul of the diligent is made rich. Second thing you need to know about life is not just working hard, it's working smart. Working smart. Proverbs 27 verse 23 says this. Be diligent, know the state of your flocks, and attend to your herds. And I know you've all got flocks and herds. But the point being is, to be a good farmer in the day, you had to know the state of your flocks. You had to understand how your cows and sheep were doing. I want to tell you, people that are blessed and live in blessing are people that are diligent to pay attention about how they manage their life. Learn to manage your world. If you don't manage your money, you will manage a money crisis. If you don't manage your health, you will manage a health crisis. If you don't manage your marriage, you're going to manage a marriage crisis. You need to know the state of your flocks and your herds. Be aware of what's going on. You know, I watch Christians go from crisis to crisis to crisis, and they blame the devil, but it's never the devil, it's just stupidity. It's not. The devil's just bored. He didn't have to do anything. He just watched. Do you remember the show, The Addams Family? I want to see how many people know The Addams Family. Oh my gosh. Remember, this is a dysfunctional family. And if you remember The Addams Family, that wherever they went, there was a storm. If they're in their house, there's a storm over their house. Lightning, thunder. They got in their motor vehicle, and the storm was on their motor vehicle. They went to the shop, and the storm was over the shop. I watch Christians live like that. Wherever they go, there's a mess or a storm. And you can blame the devil all you want, but you're not just working that smart. You need to consider things, work things out. Like I said, wisdom. Wisdom is the quality of looking at the world that you don't see yet, or the quality of looking into the future and assessing how things are going to work out. You know, this is one of the saddest statistics I've just read lately. It tells me that most people retire at the age of 65. Was it 70 now, Mike? The new age? It's in between. Anyway, when you get old. And then when they retire, most people have less than $250 in the bank. Some of them are still paying off their house or don't have one. Some are still paying off their car, or they do own it. Over a working lifetime of 45 years, they've saved $5.55 per week. I know every one of them earned a lot more than that. You see, that's what working smart does. It enables you to see the future. You need to learn to manage your world, your budget. You know what a budget is? A budget is just spending less than you earn. Well, that's a new concept. Oh, never thought of that. It's an idea. Nothing is a good deal if you can't afford it. Step away from the deal. That's not a good idea. Bring your tithes and your offerings unto God, because He multiplies seed that's sown unto Him. Invest something, save something. I'm not well off because of my great pastor's wage. You might believe this, they don't pay extremely well, do they, Chris? Don't shake your head like that, it's not that bad. But you're not going to get rich of a pastor's wage. So I've learned how to invest what I have. You see, I know it's not about what I have. I know it's about what I do with what I have. And most people say, I can't afford that. No, everybody's got something they can invest or save or look after, and that's what takes you in the future. You need to budget and get things going. It's all the little things you don't remember that end up eating away your finances. You need to have self-control. That's just a thought. Listen what this Proverbs says, chapter 25, verse 28. That's 27, 23. That's it. Whoever has no rule over his own spirit is like a city broken down without walls. You think of it back in the day when they wrote that if you were a city without walls, what did it mean? You were totally vulnerable to everybody. Anybody could come in and rob you. They could steal from you. You couldn't protect yourself because the walls are protected. And now the Bible's telling us that if you have no rule over your own spirit, if you can't control yourself with a credit card, if you can't control yourself online at Amazon, if you can't control yourself, you're like that. In other words, the world, there are people out there that get paid a lot more than you get paid just to work out how to get your money to them. They get paid just to work out how to get money off of you into their pockets. So we've got to have self-control to understand that not everything that is such a good deal is such a good deal. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. That's my Bitcoin experience. That's right. Never again. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Man, God blesses people that manage their flocks and their herds. He blesses them. It helps you move into your future. Work smart. Manage your life. Save, invest, give. Work it out. Don't just work on feelings and thoughts and things like that. Make sure you manage your life. God blesses those who manage things. Number 3, control debt. Control debt. Proverbs 22 verse 7. The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. All right? Don't borrow unless you have to. Rule of thumb, from a person who's done fairly well on a pastor's wage. Borrow only for assets, houses, businesses, investments, and throw in motor cars because they're too expensive. Nothing else. Don't borrow for a holiday. Don't borrow for clothes. Don't go into debt on your credit card for something that's not going to make you money. The purchase leaves you well before the payments stop. The excitement of the holiday has gone well before you stop paying for it. Going into debt generally means you're avoiding reality. You're not seeing clearly. And debt is a weight. Be assured, debt creates anxiety, stress, and tension. Make sure you only use debt to help you move forward, not to enjoy the time that you're in. Now, I'm telling you all this because I want to save you from the mess most people are in. Most people we just read at 65 end up with $250 in the bank. You don't want to be that person. You don't want to rely on a pension. You want to make sure that you are blessed so you can be a blessing. That you've got enough that you can create an opportunity for others to move forward. It's not about having everything. It's about being able to give where you can give. 4th thing is do what is right. Do what is right. Handle money and people in the right way. Ephesians chapter 4 verses. Told you this is like Bible college. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 20. But you have not so learned Christ, if indeed you have heard him and have been taught by him as the truth is in Jesus, that you, listen to this, this is what Jesus teaches, you put off concerning your former conduct, the old man, which grows corrupt according to its deceitful lust, and you be renewed in the spirit of your mind, that you may put on the new man, which is created according to God in true righteousness and holiness. In other words, when you become a believer in Jesus, you can't just do business dealings like you used to do them. You've got to be honest. You've actually got to do things the right way. You've actually got to consider the right way. He says then, when you come to him, there's a sense of, now that things are different in my life, I'm going to throw away the old things that I used to do and put on the new man that God created me to be. So we do things right, even though it costs us a little bit, because in the end, it doesn't cost you, it actually saves you. I love it, the transformation in my life when I met Jesus Christ. I didn't grow up in a church. I didn't grow up in a Christian context at all. So the night I said, you know what? I want to know Jesus. I believe he's the way, the truth, and the life. I had no background to that concept. And I made that decision that night. And I don't know what took place, but something moved in my heart so powerfully, I was never quite the same. The way I saw life changed. Now, I wasn't perfect. That took a couple of weeks. But everything in my world shifted. The old man, the old person was no longer allowed or able to do what he used to do. There was something now that was pointing me in the right direction. That my potential could become a reality. I could see future and hope that I couldn't see before.